Recently, I've been getting more into the sounds that surround our favorite genre: Gothic melodies, hardcore riffs, instrumental drum beats, ghostly vocals. British singer songwriter composer Strange Nocturnal offered to sit and chat about horror music and film, rock and pop influences, and the history behind the sounds and everything in between. Music doesn't just involve sound, it helps tell a story. Throughout history, stories and music helped keep us alive. Today, we use those same sounds and words to aid in keeping characters we created alive. Strange Nocturnal uses experiences from his life and influences from books, other musicians, and movies to create the atmosphere prime for horrific imagery.
Just about writing and characters and things like that within um, stories as a song as well, because song is like storytelling. But the music side of it, I think, comes from when people was, even by the campfires with violins, and they put a violin there, or drums, they creak to the door and the bell fell. Do you know what I mean? And things like that.
And this is evident in older movies themselves. Strange Nocturnal talks about classic monster movies. Their sounds translate directly to words on pages.
And going on more about horror music and the history of horror music, Dracula was one of the first that had the music put in. Some people said it was scarier without, and the writing made it more decadent and old. You know what I mean? You get them old
Yeah.
films and it starts like a book, reads like a book, but it's bringing it alive because books were the main thing. And just the history of all that I find very fascinating.
Musically, horror media has a rich history of change through time.
Classic sounds and classic music and the eerie atmospheres and stuff that they were making, suspense that's carried over into the synths, it's carried over into the guitars, the big crashes onto the drums and the loud scream and then the nice melodies, the little lure and nice pleasantries before the, you know what I mean? Or it
Right.
could be like, and then the different variations and combinations of it all. And just, I think it's just it's some of the sounds that are very beautiful, to be honest.
Oftentimes, there is a cultural shift, changing from classical to pop and rock, or a societal shift, like melodic versus chaotic sounds. There could also be a shift in how music is made, from full orchestras to electronic, machine produced sounds, for example. But just as trends go in cycles, the sounds we hear tend to circle back on each other with slight additions of new age technology. One year may be a series of string instruments, and the next may be a waterphone, then a combination of the two the following year. A theremin is a great example of blending these old and new technologies to create a sound that is uniquely horror. When asked about digital versus practical or instrumental music, Strange Nocturnal had this to say.
Yeah, if I go to do something on the keyboard, and it's completely digital and things like that, does it have that element of surprise? It's very robotic. It's very in a pattern. You can program it out these patterns and try and put the surprise in there and all sorts of stuff. It's very good. It's all very well and good. But if I pick up the violin and I create some sounds with that, I can layer and layer and layer and work with that, do phenomenal things, absolutely phenomenal things. A little bit of echo on the violin and all that. I think it helps. I think it helps. Do you mean like that side of things, making the guitar and everything sound like a little bit better and all that? That side helps. But when it's full on digital noises, I think that's why you know in horror movies they're still going back to like even getting like a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like for when
Yeah.
things are happening, like you know what I mean? Like
It's
um,
it's sort of like the argument for practical versus special effects. It's like it's fine, but there are certain things that it's nicer to have an actual physical thing happening.
yeah, yeah. The 80s kind of films, even when when they got it more spot on. I mean, the fact that you knew that it was fake is great, but when they got it a little bit too, it was like, oh wow, and it's like an art form
Music is indeed an art form, no matter what instrument or machine you're playing. And just like art, music in horror films has gone through multiple renaissances.
within. culture, and there's many different renaissances throughout. It doesn't matter where it is. There's many different renaissances. There'll be classical, this, that, the other, and where it's used, and the basics of what is we're capable of with the spectrums of sound. It will always the heartbeats, so there'll be that pulsing thing, and to make it jump and go out of rhythm, and these use of things that as people are discovering them, they will be using them time and time again, but they will be trying to um, add new sounds in there as they're experimenting throughout. So at certain points, they like it very high. Now it's all at one point it was all about the bass. It was all about the bass. You know, and now they've got the bass like that, but now they're working like different things with the highs. You know, and how many oscillations you can get on this little bit of the speaker, and what you can do with the cymatics of that within the speakers, and how that's going and things, and different panning and things like that. But I think it's going to be very mixed, and then yeah, it's just going to keep going through different like little renaissances with different and bringing something new every time. It's keeping we're all connected through something. Everything's vibrating. The matter that I'm made of has been on this earth in my parents and their parents and so on and so on, and everybody really, and everything. You know what I mean? Anything that's living. And as for entertainment, the storytelling, and that, I think people are going to keep looking back to others that are great, and then know that they got inspiration from somewhere else. Somebody, you know, through this beautiful communication and the good that we can have from that, the good things that we can make from that. And I do think that younger generations have a lot more available to them now than what they used to have. But even when it was very basic, people were just telling stories around, you know, with making instruments themselves and how of anything and doing things, you know, and then that becomes a great thing, and then building on that and everything, you know what I mean, just inspiration and renaissance everywhere. And I think it's going to be really good, but I think we're going to still have a lot of natural classical sounds, even if it is with with a synth, it's still quite classical.
A film without sound is nothing. Horror is especially needing of sound. Music makes the movie, and horror films are the perfect example of that.